Hafide, welcome to D18 Tonight. Guahusi Nick Delgado. Joining us in studio are your candidates for Attorney General of Guam, Douglas Moylan, Gary Gumataotao, and Leevin Camacho. We'll start by giving each of you 30 seconds, as I mentioned earlier, to introduce yourself. And we'll start from the left. Doug.
Hafide and Kemasta. Nick, my experience is, I'm 51 years old, been an attorney for 28 years, practiced in the executive, legislative, and the judicial branches. I started off with the court as its staff attorney, the 6 years in the legislature, the legislative council for the 24th, 25th, and 26th Guam legislatures. I served with honor to the people of Guam as the Attorney General from 2003 to 2006. Okay. Since that time, I've been practicing law.
All right, thank you. Gary?
I'm an attorney for 30 years here in Guam. I'm also licensed to practice in Washington, D.C. I'm a graduate from Washington Lee University in Virginia. I'm in Who's Who in American law schools and universities from 1988. I also was the American Bar Association national finalist for a negotiation competition that's national. I served as the executive vice president for Island Equipment Company, which is owned by the Snitcher Group. Also was the head of Isla Insurance Company and Colliers Monroe Friedlander here in Guam. I've also served in the Coast Guard Auxiliary as a Commodore. I'm one of 16 Commodores across the United States responsible for the District 14, which is over 14 million square miles of ocean, and responsible for all of the recreational boating and maritime activities. We backfill for the active duty Coast Guard.
A lot of experience there, and we'll hear more about it moving forward. And Leevin?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Thanks for having us here. My name is Leevin Camacho. I'm from the village of Jigo. I went to JFK, University of Washington, graduated from Boston University in 2005. My most recent case was the Save Southern Guam case, which we got a good decision in from the Guam Land Use Commission about a week ago. I'm also involved in a voting rights case that's pending before the Supreme Court, whether or not they're going to hear it, and that involves whether or not Congress can discriminate against the people of the territory. So those are some of the cases that I've been involved in recently. Okay,
so we'll get right into the questions here, and we're already getting quite a few from our viewers on Facebook live stream. And the first one comes from Alan Addis Nicholas, and the question is, what are you going to do with the crimes in the government of Guam? And it's pretty general, broad question there, but we'll start with you, Gary.
Well, you know, I think all three candidates are talking about corruption, and that certainly seems to be on the minds of almost everybody in the public. And, you know, I came out fighting, saying from the beginning that I'm against corruption, I want to fight it. And the biggest story of that out there is with Ray Tenorio. And the first thing I'm going to do, if the current AG doesn't do it, I'm going to see to it that he's arrested and that he's put into the system. I'm going to take it to the grand jury, and if they come back with a true bill, I'll see to it that he's prosecuted.
Leevin?
Yeah, you know, so corruption, we're all going to agree to prosecute it, but I think one of the things that's not talked about enough is how do you investigate these things. So I'm really interested in the whistleblower protections. You know, I haven't heard a case filed against someone for retaliating against a whistleblower. That's something that I would be looking at. How do we make that type of information more accessible? How do we tell people, contact the AG's office if you have information about corruption, if you have information about government mismanagement, and then you make sure that when people come forward with information, you protect those people.
Okay. Doug?
Nick, I actually have a track record with corruption and against corruption. I was the Attorney General first elected that created the Government Corruption Division. In the 4 years that I served the people, we had 26 convictions for government corruption. In addition to, we had 4 trials that went to a jury. 3 of the juries found the conviction based upon our team's investigation and prosecution. Government corruption to me is very serious. It's what they call a white-collar type crime. I'm not affiliated with any governor, and I think my first term in office showed that I'm willing to fight for the people.
All right, well done. So this next question, what do you see has been the biggest problem with the Attorney General's office, or the biggest problem on Guam, and what will you do about it if elected? And we'll start with Leevin.
Well, I think the biggest problem facing our island is drug use. And you know, every night when you watch the news, you hear about crimes being committed by people who are addicted to drugs. So you know, we have to really get to the. We can't just the problem or the result. We have to address the addiction itself. So I think we need to have a criminal justice system that looks at ways that we can have people go through the criminal justice system, get the help that they need, so they're not coming back again and again and again. You know, get them the help they need, let them lead productive lives, and that way the whole island will benefit.
Okay, Doug.
The problem with the Attorney General's office, I understand, is that what you're focusing on?
Either what you see has been the biggest problem with the Attorney General's office or biggest problem on the island.
Well, the Attorney General's office has, in my opinion, lost sight of when we and how we were elected originally. I found that the Attorney Generals haven't stood up against the executive branch sufficiently in order to protect the people's interests. I think when you go headline after headline, you see the AG not going as far as he or she should have gone, capitulating to the governor in certain areas that have not been in the public interest. The biggest problem on Guam that's going on right now, it's multifaceted, and a lot of it's coming from the immigrants, the non-U.S. citizens that are violating our laws.
Okay. Gary.
I think the biggest problem that I've seen with the AGs all across the board has been that they're not people-centric, that they constantly say, we're the lawyers for the government, the chief legal officer for the government. Well, that's true. You are, but every time that there's a caption on a case where you're prosecuting somebody criminally, it says, the people of Guam. You're representing the people of Guam. But they don't act like that. They won't take a phone call from the people of Guam. They don't make themselves accountable to the people of Guam. They don't want to have any transparency with the people of Guam. You can't even get through when you call over there to talk to anybody, because half the time when you call over, you get a telephone purgatory. So one of the things I want to do is see to it that we're more accountable to the people of Guam. We have more outreach. We provide more services. We do things for veterans. We make sure we clean up this problem with the child support. That's the biggest issue they've got over there. So not accountable to the people for things like that. It's not taking care of the business.
More accountability, and definitely child support is another big issue. Some of our viewers have questions about, which we'll get to on the other side of this break. D18 continues in a moment.
Smiling is a natural response to joy, happiness, and excitement. Your smile reveals a lot about who you are. A healthy, beautiful smile can brighten your appearance and be an invitation to conversation and friendship. It is often one of the first things people notice about you. Now, thanks to the advancements in dentistry, you can have the smile you have always wanted, giving you an improved smile that looks and feels great.
My silver fillings that I have, they're getting older in my mouth and I need to replace them. So I've started to do that, and I've replaced them with the white fillings, and I've had really great success with that. It looks good, they feel natural, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the bleaching. I want a white look all around my mouth.
I've worked with everyone running for governor. I know what they've done and what they haven't. There have been so many missed opportunities to prevent the crises facing Guam. I know Lou would never have allowed GMH to go without resources. She would have closed the revenue loopholes so that the $8.1 billion military buildup generated additional revenue for Guam. She'll make sure our government lives within its means. I'm Carlotta Leon Guerrero, a Republican, and I'm voting for Lou and Josh. Please vote for them too.
Welcome back to D18 Tonight, and in the hot seat are the three candidates for the Attorney General of Guam. Let's get right to the next question. This one coming from Barbara Jean Guerrero. Barbara asks, what happens if a child is owed child support but the non-custodial parent is in jail? How will they be able to collect? And for that question, we'll start with Leevin.
Sure. One of the most common questions we get is what happens if the non-custodial parent doesn't work. So under the guidelines, they're still required to pay something. So there'll be an order that will be put in place, and then arrears will be accrued. But this is one of those things where we need to do a better job communicating that to people who are receiving services, right? And one of the things I look at is how do you use technology to improve that communication between the Office of the Attorney General, the Child Support Division, and people who are receiving services. There needs to be a better resource for someone like Barbara Jean to be able to go online and find that answer out quickly without having to go on Facebook Live.
Okay. Doug?
Yes, the amounts accrue until the defendant, who would be the non-custodial parent in jail, moves to modify it. The court might modify it, the court might not, case-by-case basis. The AG's office, though, has this issue with all this money, the $6 million that's in these DOA accounts. And if I was in the AG's office, I have legislation that I'm going to ask the senators to actually put that money into a trust fund so that the needy children on Guam can actually benefit from it. GITA can be used for purposes of setting up some sort of an investment and so forth.
Okay, thank you. And Gary?
Well, this is a systemic problem, and the answers that my colleagues are giving are correct, but that doesn't answer the problem. The problem is that the mother's not going to get paid. And the answer to that is that if it's possible to take the father out of jail, put a wristlet on him or an ankle bracelet on him and let him go to work, that should be the answer. And it depends on what he's in jail for. So it's a systemic problem, and the answer's there. All we have to do is decide what can be done to eliminate the number of people that are in jail, let them get out so they can work, because a lot of these people don't need to be in jail, and they need to be released so they can go to work and support these children.
All right, thank you. All right, so this next question, how will you keep politics out of the AG's office? And we'll start with Doug.
It's, you're asking a question that is inherent in the office. The AG is a creature of politics. Politics has a good side and a bad side. The good side is the AG is directly accountable to the voters. If they don't like what he or she's doing, they're going to let them know in the next election. And if they don't understand, then maybe it's a problem with the AG on communicating to them the importance of what they're doing. The idea of keeping it out, I believe I'm the best candidate to show that. I went up against the governor, we went to the U.S. Supreme Court, and I won on behalf of our people to stop the barring.
Okay, thank you. Gary?
Well, Doug's right. It is up to the AG to decide whether or not to allow politics in the door. And when I worked at the community college as the department chair for business, I was getting phone calls from Adelup all the time. You need to hire this person, you need to hire that person. It didn't matter whether they were qualified or not. And I just drew the line and said, I'm not going to hire them. And if they wanted to fire me for that, that's fine. But if you're not qualified for the job, that's it. It's the same thing with the AG's office. They're not going to call me and tell me, let this person off, don't prosecute that person. I'll make the decisions, we'll follow the policies of the office. We're not going to be influenced by politics at all. I don't care if you're my father, my brother, my sister. I'm going to prosecute you, has nothing to do with politics.
Okay, Leevin.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time I've ever run for public office. I've never really declared Democrat or Republican, and I think most people don't realize that the AG's office is nonpartisan. So I think the way that you really ensure the independence is that you want to have someone in there who, political vendettas come both ways. It can be someone having privilege and you not bringing a case, or someone having a vendetta and you bringing a case because of politics. So you need to develop standards and objective ways to look at what actions the AG should take, and I'm very interested in developing standards and policies.
Okay, thank you all for your responses. We're going to take another quick break. Keep it here. D18 Tonight continues in a moment.
Win adventure in the ITNE Explore Your World Million Mile Giveaway. Every week from July 16 to November 2nd, we're giving away 60,000 United Mileage Plus miles to ITNE postpaid and prepaid subscribers. Imagine where you could go. Go on a weekend getaway to the Philippines. Enjoy fresh sushi in Japan. Itadakimasu. Sip a latte at a cafe in Paris. Or use your miles for shopping and other rewards. It's your world. Explore it.
You can do anything you put your mind to. I faced difficulties in my life, foster homes, abuse, and bullying. Sometimes I stumbled, but I never quit. I pulled myself back up. At times, all I had was hope and faith in God and in myself. When I graduated from high school, I was told I wouldn't amount to anything. When I ran for senator, people told me I couldn't win. When I ran for lieutenant governor, others told me I was the wrong color. Today I'm running for governor to give your children hope, to know that they can overcome their hardships. I will invest in your children so that they will be prepared and empowered to overcome their hurdles to success. I want to inspire the next generation of can't make it's and not supposed to continue dreaming big, to hold on to hope, to understand that there is no substitute for hard work, and to inspire others to do the same. I approve this message. I'm Ray Tenorio. I'm running for governor, and I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Welcome back to D18 Tonight. We have your candidates for Attorney General speaking with us and taking your questions. The next question comes from Terry Damon Cadahay. She asked, the federal government has taken issue with the Chamorro Land Trust Commission on its issuance of land leases to indigenous Chamorros. Do you believe it should remain with the indigenous Chamorros, or should it be opened up to other citizens? And we'll start with you, Frank.
Well, I believe it should stay the way it is. And the model for that is in Hawaii. Hawaii has for years had an indigenous rights aspect to the trust that they have for their land. And that's been upheld by the courts of the state of Hawaii. And it's amazing because the attorney that led the charge there is now the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. And the conservatives in America support this idea. They recognize tribal rights, they recognize indigenous rights, and I believe that if this case, even if we were to lose it, and it goes all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, we're going to win it then.
Okay, Leevin?
I think land rights on Guam are one of those nonpartisan issues that everyone cares very deeply about. And I know this firsthand when we're involved in the lawsuit to save Pagat Village, right? And you had people, Republican, Democrat, the governor, congressman, all came together because we understand that the history on Guam is that so much of our land was taken, so much of the natives' lands were taken. So I think that the program as it's done, it's actually native inhabitants of Guam. I know it's the Chamorro Land Trust, but the word is native inhabitants of Guam. Mm-hmm. The legislature and the people of Guam support that program, and if I was Attorney General, I would make sure to defend it in court.
Okay. Doug?
When you're in the white man's world, you have to think like a white man. Our problem with our Chamorro Land Trust is that it wasn't made into the Organic Act. As Frank correctly pointed out, there's been examples, and the biggest example was the American Indians. They had what was called now affirmative action type programs that were implemented. The Department of Interior administers it under the Insular Affairs. Hawaii, I believe it's called the Ho'oponopono system. They saw the injustice that happened to that people, and they put it in the federal statutes. Guam did our local statutes. We need to get it into the federal statutes. We need to go before the United Nations, plead our case, get Congress to change implement a trust like Hawaii did.
Okay, thank you for your responses. This next one, actually, several people have asked this question, and Frank, you kind of touched on it in the beginning, but straight to it, if you were the Attorney General right now, how would you handle the gun grabbing incident? That's the one you had mentioned earlier, Frank, with the Lieutenant Governor and that investigation ongoing. For that, we'll start with Leevin.
Yeah, I mean, this really goes to people's faith in the system, right? And everyone wants to, the only way the criminal justice system works is if everyone is treated fairly, whether you're the Lieutenant Governor, whether it's you, whether it's me, right? So if I was elected Attorney General, I would do what any prosecutor would do. You look at the case, you review the facts, but balanced against that is a right to a fair trial. This isn't trial by media. That's not the way that our system is designed, right? So you need to make sure that you know all the facts, And if there is enough cause to bring charges, you bring them.
Okay. And Doug?
You know, Nick, one of the problems with the public conversation that we're having on this issue, nobody's really identified the charges. Nobody has pointed out whether or not the police officer, who is the initial person who may be the victim in this whole situation, actually has made a complaint. And I guess the problem that I face commenting on it, being a former Attorney General, is that we need to know the facts. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it's being done at the AG's office right now. No reports have been issued, no public information has been given. Frank has heard of some witness information, which is troubling when, if you believe what's being said. So I think that we need more information and we need to identify what exactly was violated.
Thank you. Frank?
Well, this is what makes me different than my colleagues, is that, you know, I don't play around. There's no filter. I go straight to the point. The bottom line is the Lieutenant Governor went on television. He enumerated all the details. He said enough. And I'm telling you, if you watched any of the tapes about what went on Liberation Day, somebody did the exact same thing. They grabbed a gun out of a police officer's holster, and they grabbed him. The officers threw him in the back of an unmarked car and took him off to the police station and arrested him. Now, if they didn't do that to the Lieutenant Governor because he's the Lieutenant Governor, but they do it to anybody else. And that tells you something's wrong with the system. So what people are tired of. They want everybody to be treated the same. Nobody's above the law.
Okay, thank you all for that. And again, we're going to another quick break. Keep it here. We'll wrap up the show and D18 Tonight continues.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
Summer is here, and at Cars Plus and Mighty, that means big savings during our summer clearance event. Right now, save up to $8,000 on select 2018 Ram 1500 SLT Crew Cab, or save $3,250 on a 2018 Chrysler Pacifica, voted Family Car of the Year. 1.99 APR financing is available for qualified buyers. Plus, buy today and receive a Cars Plus value card, where you get 21 cents off per gallon at all Shell stations. Don't miss our summer clearance event, going on now at Cars Plus and Mighty. Cars Plus, driven by you.
The Down Syndrome Association of Guam exists to support families of individuals with Down syndrome. We're a group of parents who have children with Down syndrome and know the joys and challenges of raising them. For more information about the health, development, and education of a child or adult with Down syndrome, please contact Vicky Areola at 472-6114.
As a mayor, I see the first-hand struggles our people face. I see the real effects of tax increases and what happens when our government cannot deliver the services timely. I've heard the promises made year after year. I know what it really means when these promises go unfulfilled. Who do you trust to finally get things done right? I'm in with Lou and Josh because they have the experience to lead us and deliver what they promise.
I'm Lou Young-Guerrero and I approve this message.
Welcome back to D18 Tonight. All right, let's get back to the questions here coming from our viewers on Facebook Live. This one comes from Car Charfris. Car asks, given the current financial situation of the government, how would you prioritize the needs of the office and its ability to fulfill the functions? And we'll start with you, Doug.
I have had the actual experience running an office of 120 staff and attorneys, and we were at a $7 million budget. I think that the AG's current budget of about $16 million, which accommodates 50 more people since when I was there, indicates that we're not seeing what 50 more people should have done. You know, I practice in court daily, as do we all, and when I was there in 2006, 2003, 2006, we're doing almost the exact same thing back then that they're doing now, but they're doing it with more than double our budget that we had.
Okay. Frank?
I agree with Doug that they don't need as much money as they're getting. That the first thing I do, if people have to choose between groceries and gas in the economy we have now, and they're tightening their belt, I think it's immoral for people in the government to operate the government and ask for more money than what the people of this island have as voters to live on. So we need to cut our budgets too. And the first thing I'm going to do is cut 10% right off the top.
Okay, and Leevin.
You know, I think, Nick, this really goes down to if you pay for a product and you get what you want or get what you're asking for, then you're okay with paying that price, right? I think the problem we have with government is people feel like we're spending too much money and we're not seeing the returns. One of the things that I'm a big fan of is technology, right? How do we use technology to improve the communication between the Office of the Attorney General and the community? You know, we mentioned child support. How can we use technology to better communicate? How do we have, maybe we have an online system where you can say, hey, this is what's going on with the case, because the biggest complaint for attorneys, against attorneys, is that we don't respond enough to clients. And I think that's especially true in an office like the Attorney General. So that's what I would plan to do.
All right, thank you for your responses. And now it's the time of the show where we get to allow you guys the opportunity to wrap it up, give that final push to the voters out there, whatever you want to say to when they get ready to go out there and hit the polls on August 25th. And we'll start with Frank.
Well, I'm a people person. I'm really concerned that the Office of the Attorney General has not been people-centric, and I think it's time for it to become that way. You know, there's plenty of money out there to get the job done. They can expand some of the services they've got and still cut back on the expenses that they incur. They're the second highest paying rent payer in government agencies. They don't need to be paying that much rent. They've got too many people on board. Their budget is huge. You know, they're not servicing the public. And that's the first thing I'll do is get in there and cut that budget and start expanding the services at the same time.
Okay, Leevin?
Yeah, so my priorities really would be, or the three things that I want to accomplish, I look at accountability, I look at efficiency, and I look at leadership. And unfortunately, 30 seconds isn't enough time for me to get into the history of that and what I would plan to do. But, you know, I've been fighting for the people of Guam, and I would invite any of the viewers out there to search my name on the internet, you know, see the body of work that I've put out there. And that's what I would bring to the Office of the Attorney General, Leevin Camacho, and our number 3 on the ballot. Thank you.
All right, Doug.
Nick, I'm number 2 on the ballot, and I am respectfully asking for the people's trust as they had in me before. I have done what we believe was an excellent job back then. We set a lot of the premier cases that were litigated and won before the U.S. Supreme Court. The 5 issues that I want to focus on, if reelected: increase our child support collections, deport the criminals, prosecute corrupt officials, prosecute sex crimes against women and children, and promote sustainable military buildup. And I thank and ask the people for their support.
All right, gentlemen, thank you all so much, and good luck out there. 10 days away. I'm sure the voters are already just taking in all the responses that you guys offered here tonight. And of course, you guys at home can still continue to ask those questions, and the candidates here will go there and respond as well. Again, best of luck, and thank you.
Thank you.
All right, keep it here on Facebook Live. Up next, the after party.
Furniture provided by Furniture Kathy Style. Men's wardrobe by Royal Bix.
Welcome to the after party. What?
You think the candidates were nervous? I'm nervous. I'm sitting next to the guy who calls out the base commander, and then the other guy who's malfunctioned, and then the radical